In this next tutorial, we'll show you how to export your Pro Landscape database prices into an external file, and we'll make some changes to it, and then we'll go ahead and re-import those changes into the database. Now to get started, let's go up to our File menu in Pro Landscape Proposal and select Export and Pro Landscape Prices. Now this process is going to take a minute or so, so let's go ahead and pause the video. Alright, the export process took about a minute and a half to complete that. That may be a faster or slower time depending on the speed of your processor. Okay, so let's go ahead and click OK here. Now you'll see that it did save the file as the Pro Landscape Pricebook.txt in my Documents folder. So we'll go ahead and retrieve that here later. Click OK. And this is what the file looks like. It's a text file. It opened it up in Notepad, but you can see here that there's lots of data. There's about 25,000 lines of data here. So we're going to bring this into a spreadsheet so that we can manipulate the data a little bit easier. Let's go ahead and close the price book out here, and we're going to use Microsoft Excel. Alright, I'm using Excel 2003 for Windows XP. Now if you're using a newer edition such as Excel 2007, then your menus are going to look a little bit different here, but the process is basically the same. So let's go ahead and go over here to the New button and open up a brand new spreadsheet. Next we'll go to the Data tab and import external data and import data. And I need to select that price book that I just created. So I moved it to my desktop. So I'll go out to desktop and select it, and then we'll open it. It's going to ask me a couple things here. Now the file is created as a tab delimited file. So we need to make sure that delimited is selected here, and then we'll click next. Okay. We also need to make sure that tab is selected here with a check. And when we have that checked, you'll see that my fields are broken up into specific columns. I've got a SKU, common name, botanical name. I also have another column here for SKU, size, list price, and net price. Now if I uncheck that, it mashes all of the columns together, and it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. So let's go ahead and make sure that we check the tab delimiter. And I'm going to click Finish here. Let's go ahead and click OK, and we'll bring it into the current spreadsheet. Okay, and there I have my data. Okay, now this makes it a lot more manageable when I bring it into the spreadsheet. I can put everything in columns, and everything is a little more understandable as far as what fields relate to each of the line items that we have here. Okay, again I have my SKU, my common name, botanical name, SKU again, size, list price, and the net price. Okay, so what I can do here is I can come in and I can clean up the items on this sheet to make it a little bit more manageable. Like for example, if I wanted to come in here and delete out plants that I'm not going to use, or objects such as statuary or water features that I'm not going to use, I can highlight the items in the spreadsheet, right click over here on the left side, and select delete, and it takes those out. Now that does not delete it from the database, only from the spreadsheet that we're working on here. Okay, the same is true if you have a tree here that you have only certain sizes that you would ever use, such as maybe you're only going to use the 10, 15, 25 gallon trees. Then you could come in and you could highlight the ones that you don't want, right click on them and delete them, and then it will make your spreadsheet much easier to manage. Okay, another thing you may want to do is come up to the fourth column over here, which is a duplicate of the first column. We don't need that duplicate, so we can simply right click on the top of the column there to select it, and then right click on it and select delete, and it wipes that column out completely. Okay, now the only thing that's going to be imported from this sheet is the list price column. I can add other columns to this to import, and I'll show you on a new sheet how we're going to do that. Okay, but it's very important here to make sure that the SKU number is the same SKU number that comes out of the database. So all of these came out of the database automatically, so they should all work for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this file, and I'm going to go up to our File menu and select Save As, and we're on our desktop. This is going to save as Book 3, and it's going to save it as a Excel workbook, which is not what I want. I want to make sure that I select a text file, tab delimited, and I'll click Save, and then I'll click OK here, and yes here. Okay, so now it's saved. Now let me go ahead and show you another sheet that I've been working on that I added a few things to. Let's go out to File and Open, and I saved a file on my desktop, and I called it Price Book. Let's go ahead and open that. And again, I get the same dialog box as we had before. This is a delimited file. I'll click Next here. It's Tab, using the delimiter of Tab. I'll click Finish, and it brings in my new price file here. Okay, you'll see that I have my SKU, which is required. I also came in and I updated the list price here. I also added a new column called Cost, and I put cost for each of the items here. I added a column called Labor and put labor charges. I also added a column called Supplier. Okay, and I put my supplier name there. Okay, now as I said before, it's critical that the SKU numbers be correct. Otherwise, the database won't know where to look for the items. So let's go ahead and change one of these, and I'll show you the effect later. So let's go ahead and put a letter S on there instead of a J, and let's go ahead and save the file. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and this again is a text delimited or a tab delimited text file, and I'll go ahead and overwrite the price book there. Okay, and I'll click Yes there. I'm just going to minimize this, show you something that can cause a problem when we do not close that file. And I'll go to Proposal, and I'll go to File and Import Prices. Okay, here I want to browse to that file, and I had placed that file out on my desktop. Now I need to make sure that I select Text File as Files of Type. Okay, and if I come in here, I should find Price Book, and if I click Open, normally what I would do is I would get a preview of the data, but there's a couple things that can cause this not to preview. One is that the file is corrupt, and the other would be that the file is opened by another program. So let's go ahead and cancel that, and I have that Excel spreadsheet still open, so I'm going to close that out completely. Okay, now I'll go back up to my File menu in Pro Landscape Proposal and select Import Prices, and we'll browse out to my desktop, and I'm going to change that to Text Files. And now if I select Price Book, now I get my preview of the data that was in that sheet. You'll notice the first line of data is the column headers, and these column headers I want to use to import into the database. So what we need to do is make sure that we check first row header here, and now those header names are listed in this box below. Now if I don't have the tab delimited selected here, if I have comma delimited, you'll see that this is not quite the way I want it. So I want to make sure that those are vertically listed here. Okay, let's go ahead and click Next. Okay, now what I need to do is match the fields up with the fields that we have in our destination file, which is going to be our database file. Okay, now as I had said before, we're not going to be importing the botanical name or the common name. So what we need to do is match these two columns up. So let's go down to Cost and click Cost here, and then we'll click on the arrow here, and now it matches these two columns up, and this is what's going to go into the database. Okay, so if I go down to my next field is labor, and I have a couple different choices here to choose from. I'm going to match that with the labor charge field in the database. Okay, and then we'll come over to list price and list price, SKU and SKU. Now that is required. That's what our database, our utility here uses to match up the price sheet with the database entry. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and select supplier and supplier. Okay, and I intentionally skipped over size. We don't want to import the size because that can cause some problems later down the road. Okay, I'll click finish. Okay, that didn't take very long on this because I only had 14 records to import. You'll see there here that I imported 13 of them successfully and one of them failed. So I want to click the failed records. We'll go ahead and click yes here to view those. Okay, you'll see here that TR0001-S was not found, so it skipped over that record. Okay. Now let's go ahead and see what we did to the database. If I go up to Tools and Edit Database and Prices, okay, the tree that we had there that we had selected was the Apple Serviceberry. Okay, I'll go over to the Pricing tab here. Okay, and you'll see that my list price is now updated on all records with the exception of the record J, which I changed to an S, so it did not match that SKU up, so it skipped over that record. Okay, so it went ahead and updated the list price there. It also updated the cost for each of those items. If I scroll over, it updated the flat labor charge for those items, and it also updated the supplier information. Okay, and that's how we import and export prices into ProLandscape.